Hi, and welcome to Module 3 of the IELTS Speaking. In today's lesson, we are going to talk about how to speak more fluently. So what does that mean? What is fluency? I would say that fluency is the ability to communicate easily and coherently. I think you need both easy communication and coherent communication to be fluent. Well, what does that mean? To me, easily means the words come out easily. It doesn't take me a long time to think between every word. Coherently means it makes sense. Now, some people are good at one or the other. Some people speak really easily, but what they say doesn't make much sense. I don't think they're fluent speakers. And the same can be true. Some people speak with very clear words, but it's not easy for them to communicate. Again, I think you need both of them to be considered a fluent speaker. So how do we become more fluent? I'll give you some tips. The first tip I want to give you is listen to and mimic fluent and accurate speakers. So what I mean by mimic is when you hear something, try to do the same thing, okay? And try to do it when you know that person is a fluent speaker and also an accurate speaker. Notice the phrases they use. Try to keep a mental library of what they say. Something that will help you is practicing it as soon as you hear it. Also listen for the way the words flow, the way that the words link together, and that the way that the intonation or the way the sounds go up and down. Not just each word, but as a phrase. A second tip that I want to share with you today is start thinking about what kind of phrases you can use easily and naturally that make you sound more fluent. Here are some examples that I would recommend that you start practicing because I think they come in handy when you're taking the IELTS interview. Here's the first one. Let's say the interviewer is asking you a question, and man, I don't know the answer to the question. I should say something to let them know I'm thinking about it. I might say this, good question. Let me think about that for a second. Now, the more you practice it, the more naturally, the more fluently it comes out. The second one, let's say that the interviewer asks you a question and you know you want to have a complex answer. You show you have a lot of good ideas. You could start by saying something like this. I think there are a few ways you could look at the issue. Okay, practice that one. Next one, also when you're beginning to talk about a topic, you can easily say, let me start by saying blah, blah, blah. The next point is when you are moving from one idea to another idea, you can say something like this. Another point I'd like to bring up is that blah, 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 and you bring up the point. Something similar that you could say, one other thing I think I should mention is blah, blah, blah. And when you've blah, blah, blah'd as much as you can, and you want to say something that makes it a nice conclusion, you can say something like this. So to sum up, blah, blah, blah. If you get good practice at these phrases, you're going to sound like a very polished and fluent speaker. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about how the words link together. Part of sounding fluent is not talking word by word, but talking as a phrase. I want to give you a tip that when a word has a final consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound, let's put those sounds together. Now, let me explain. We have the phrase or the sentence, in almost every family, sibling rivalry will occur. Now, let me ask you a question. Which words begin with vowels? Which words begin with vowels? I see almost begins with a vowel. I see every begins with a vowel. And occur begins with a vowel. Now, does the word before that end in a consonant sound? Yes, it does. N is a consonant, T is a consonant, and L is a consonant. So instead of saying in almost, let's put this N on the next word. I'm going to say nalmost, in almost. Instead of every, I'm going to say devry, in almost every. Instead of saying occur, I'm going to say locur, will occur. Now, let's see how it sounds. In almost every family, sibling rivalry will occur. It sounds more fluent because I've linked the words together. One more example. I saw him on a television ad about a new type of exercise. Now you tell me which words begin with vowels. Lots of words begin with vowels. On, ad, about, of, exercise. The sound before that are consonant sounds. So instead of saying on a television, I'm going to say mana television. I saw him on a television. Instead of saying ad, about, I'm going to say nad about a. I saw him on a television ad about a new type of exercise. I'm going to say pov exercise, type of exercise. Altogether, it sounds like this. I saw him on a television ad about a new type of exercise. The words link together. That was when we had a consonant sound followed by a vowel sound. Now let's say we have a final consonant sound and then we have a new word that begins with the same consonant sound. Here's some examples of sentences. I have 3 examples here in this sentence alone. Instead of saying it's so, where I stop between the S's, I'm just going to keep going. It's so. Just one S sound. Here, instead of saying important to, I'm going to just use one T sound, important to. Instead of having 2 P sounds, help people, let's make 1 P sound. Help people. Altogether, this is how this sentence sounds. They both think it's so important to help people. Let's take a look at the second sentence. Can you find the places where there is a final consonant sound followed by the same consonant sound in the next word? We had 4 examples in this sentence. Instead of saying music class, 1C, music class. This is a good example of we have to be careful not to look just at the letters, but think about the sound. The word favorite ends in the T sound. It doesn't end in an E sound. The next word, teacher, begins with the T sound. So I won't say favorite teacher, I'll say favorite teacher. R, the word teacher ends in the R sound. The word wrote doesn't begin with a W sound, it begins with an R sound, right? So I'll say teacher wrote, one R sound. Finally, we have the phrase us students. Let's put it together, us students. So here's how this one sounds. In music class yesterday, our favorite teacher wrote a song for us students. So those are my tips for you today of how you can sound more fluent. I believe with hard work every day, you will see results every day. Keep working at it. Thanks.